right, there we go. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Daring Dialogues. I am your host, Shantae Charles. Thank you for those of you who come on every single day. I hope that you are having a great and wonderful day, a great and wonderful Saturday. Good morning, Pastor Ben. Good morning to those of you who will come and jump on to the Facebook Live. We don't have as many people over on Facebook Live as I'd like, but hopefully people will catch on that I'm doing my live broadcast over there as opposed to my personal page, and they will jump on to Daring Dialogues and begin to share from Daring Dialogues. So today we're going to continue, as we said last week, we're going to continue our talk about gut health. So I hope I don't gross anybody out too much. But these are things that, we need to talk about. And then we're going to talk about some business tips from the book, Draw to Win, a crash course on how to lead, sell, and innovate with your visual mind. And then we're going to do our trivia. So I don't believe we're going to be long today. So we're going to jump right in. I hope everybody is having a great morning. Good morning, Lady Barbara. I know that all across the country, we have all kinds of natural disasters going on, and I just heard about an 8.0 earthquake that happened in Mexico. So we want to also lift up Mexico, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, India, Bangladesh, where there has been major catastrophic flooding. So we definitely want to keep people in our prayers today, and also Floridians, as some of them are still on the road trying to evacuate. But also we know that South Carolina and Georgia are also under states of emergency. So if people are trying to evacuate, they kind of have to get out of the path completely of Hurricane Irma if they planned on evacuating. So we just want to keep everybody in prayer. I'm from South Florida, so I know what that's like, and most of my family is still in the South Florida area, and so we send our love and our prayers to them this morning as well. All right, gut health. We talked about, and we started talking about the things that we need to do as part of action to help us have better gut health. And we talked about action number 1 was talking about eating and adding fiber to your diet if you haven't been doing that. Action number 2 was talking about changing how you eat, such as avoiding late meals, buy dishes that are a smaller size, tricking your digestive system, trying different desserts. And now we're moving on today to action 3, action 4, action 5, and hopefully action 6. So let's just go right into it. Action number 3 is really feel what you eat. Look, when it comes to health, nobody is perfect. But what is your goal? Your goal is to improve your health and to keep you young and active. So let's say your overall digestive health ranks a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10. Like we said last time, you don't have to get to a 10 in order to live better. An 8 would make your insides feel like they're getting a massage. And we talked about eliminating things from your diet for a few days. And some of those things we talked about were wheat products, dairy products, carbohydrates, including sugar, and artificial colors. And we were talking about that when you eliminate them from your diet for a few days, you can actually record and see how your body reacts to the elimination. And then you also want to record how your body reacts if you add those foods back in. All right. So action 4 has to do with supplementing your food. Supplementing your food. All right. One of the things that they talk about here is a supplement called psyllium. All right. And let me spell that out for you. They talk about a supplement called Psyllium, Psyllium. It's a fiber supplement which has been shown to help bulk up your stool and improve digestive flow by sucking water into the bowel. And they talk about taking a teaspoon a day, but make sure you add lots of water to this particular supplement. All right? Disclaimer, I am not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist. Okay? So anything that we talk about, please make sure you consult your own doctors before you try them. Another recommendation here is stop pushing the gas. Though gas is natural, it simply doesn't go over well in the office elevator. You can help suppress it by taking an over-the-counter medication containing simethicone. Simethicone, all right. Spell that out for you. Simethicone helps break down gas bubbles to reduce gas. You can also soak beans in water overnight before cooking them. Now that's something that African Americans, from my standpoint, have been doing forever when they cook beans. I know my family, the older women in my family did it. You can also soak beans in water overnight before cooking. That breaks down some of the compounds that can cause gas. Be sure to use fresh water when cooking them. Be smart. As we grow older, we often have more difficulty absorbing B12 from your food. Yeah, I'm having an interesting teaching here this morning. Good morning, Lakia. We often have more difficulty absorbing B12 from food. In fact, B12 deficiency is one of the most common deficiencies. 85% of us come up short of getting the necessary B12 from our diet. Absorption of B12 in food requires a substance from our stomachs called intrinsic factor, the production of which decreases with age. All right? So, you can either get B12 into your body through a shot or a crystalline pill form. We recommend 25 micrograms in supplements. Getting the daily dietary and supplemental intake of B12 can have a real age effect of making you up to 1 year younger. Folic acid also reduces gum inflammation and buildup of plaque. Now, some of us, like my husband, this actually is a Super B complex. All right, and you can get it from Walmart, you can get it from GNC, but this also has vitamin B12 in it. All right, so you can do a Super B complex as well. Action 5. Spend 120 seconds at the sink. Remember, this goes back to gut health. And someone was doing a broadcast this week on people who have really bad hygiene or have really bad breath. And one of the things we talked about last week is that bad breath does not have to do with your throat or your tongue. It actually has to do with your gut. And so one of the things here that they talked about is if you want to get rid of halitosis, you have to drink more water because it's really your gut gases that are coming up out of your mouth. All right? Action 5. Spend 120 seconds at the sink. You already know how to brush your teeth with fluoride, which help kill bacteria, but you also can live a lot healthier by hanging out just a little longer in front of the mirror. If you don't want to use fluoride, okay, like most people have realized that fluoride also does really bad things with your memory, okay? So if you don't want to use fluoride, some people use baking soda and a little bit of hydrogen peroxide together, but you have to watch it on the hydrogen peroxide side because that can chip away at your enamel for your teeth, okay? But that's another thing that people do. All right? Flossing. Do it every day. It breaks up the more than 500 kinds of bacteria that live in plaque between your teeth and helps reduce the inflammation associated with gum disease. One note, it's normal to bleed when you floss after a long layoff, but if you still bleed following each floss after a week, it's probably a sign that you have some level of gingivitis. This is important. Brushing and flossing every day combined with seeing a dental professional every 6 months or so can have an effect of making you up to 6.4 years younger. Because of its ability to decrease inflammation in your gums and subsequently in your arteries, flossing will help you keep your heart pumping and your sex life thriving, not to mention your teeth intact. Pressed for time, then follow this rule. Floss only the teeth you want to keep. Another way to thwart inflamed gums, eat fibrous foods like apples or chew sugarless gum, which helps to build up saliva. That helps you to avoid a dry mouth, which is a common cause of gingivitis. Remember the saying how people used to say, an apple a day helps keep the doctor away, right? Put my little apple up there. An apple a day helps keep the doctor away. Well, apples were known to help naturally clean teeth and to help with, like he said, the inflamed gums. So there was a reasoning behind why people ate apples all the time. It was a natural teeth cleaner. Just a little trivia for you there. Scrape by. Many bacteria don't just hang out between your teeth, they lounge around on your tongue too. Use a tongue scraper or brush your tongue while brushing your teeth to help remove some of the bacteria that causes bad breath. So, some bacteria can sit on the tongue, but again, it's mainly your water intake, okay, that can cause the halitosis, because your gut, the juices from your gut are coming up out of your throat at people. Smile. Look at the front of your teeth. If they're flat, teeth should be like your nails. Okay? Teeth should be like your nails. Higher in the middle than the sides. It's an indication that you're clenching your teeth at night, which makes you more prone to TMJ disorders. Think of your jaw as a three-legged stool with one of the legs being your front teeth. All right, so says think of your jaw as a three-legged stool with one of the legs being your front teeth and the TMJ on either side being the other two. If you grind down your teeth, you shorten the leg and throw off balance of the stool, and that causes jaw pain and headaches. To help ease the stress of the joints, take a cork from a wine bottle and hold it lengthwise between your top and bottom teeth. Now relax your jaw and mouth muscles around it for at least a few seconds. This helps ease some of the tension that's built up from clenching and misalignment. All right? So they're explaining to you why some of you all may be having some issues with your jaw and soreness. Lastly, clean up. Dirt is good on construction sites and baseball uniforms, but is generally not so great for your health. These two methods will help your bottom line. Stay clear of toxins. Stay clear of toxins. Anybody who's had a bad piece of meat or fish that led to a one-night stand with a toilet knows all too well the typhoon that swirls in your digestive system from a bad case of food poisoning. I've had a couple of bad cases of food poisoning, and it's not fun. All right? Responsible for 2,500 deaths every year in the United States, food poisoning caused by the invasion of foreign bacteria in your system usually manifests itself with vomiting, diarrhea, and your promise to swear off the culprit forever. One way to avoid it is to make sure your food reaches the temperature of 165 degrees, all right, from the inside for at least 15 seconds. You'll need a food thermometer to confirm, since oven temperature doesn't correlate to the inside temperature of meat or fish. Just because food isn't red or pink on the inside doesn't mean it reached the temperature either. Also, throw away your sponges. This is a good habit, all right? That you don't keep using the same sponges all the time. Please refresh them. Kitchen, bathroom, wherever, all right? Throw away your sponges. A sponge is like the back row in study hall. It attracts all the bad elements. In fact, bacteria grows on sponges, so every time you use one, you have the potential of passing bacteria from sponge to dish to food to mouth to one nasty day in the restroom. Instead, buy 10 cheap dishcloths and get 2 buckets. Put clean cloths in the clean bucket. When you need one, take one from that bucket, then toss it into the second bucket, which should contain diluted bleach after use. That bleach will kill anything that tries to grow. Then wash all of them once a week. Though throwing them away is the best solution, you can also wash sponges in the dishwasher or nuke them in the microwave to kill bacteria. Okay? So if you're going to use sponges, change them out frequently. And as he says, you can throw them in the microwave or if you have a dishwasher to kill the bacteria. And of course, you already know not to leave Aunt May's macaroni out in the sun because sun grows cultures of bacteria that secrete toxins. And that won't taste good no matter how much relish she uses. And lastly, wipe wet. All right? In Western culture, the theory goes, a man shakes with his right hand so he can't use it to grab his sword. You know what Eastern culture says? We shake with the right because we know darn well you just wiped yourself with the left. Besides Pilates, the best thing you can do for your bottom is to buy wet wipes. Why? If you accidentally got feces all over your hand, would you wash it off or wipe it off with a dry toilet paper? Exactly. You'd run over to the sink faster than a sprinter on an Olympic qualifier. So why do we wipe ourselves with dry sandpaper toilet paper after we go to the bathroom? It's also not the right cleaning system because it's irritating and increases the likelihood of getting hemorrhoids. While we're not recommending you install a bidet, you can get the same effect by simply wetting toilet paper in the sink before using it or using disposable wet wipes that are small versions of the ones you use on babies. So, I told you, this is going to be an interesting broadcast, right? Wipe wet. Nobody wants hemorrhoids, right? I didn't think we did. All right, so that is our section today on gut health. So I hope you learned something that you didn't know before. I hope you will take into consideration some of these tips. And next week we will look at another section on health. I won't tell you what it is. I'll let you know next week what we're going to cover for Friday of next week. All right, draw to win. We were talking about business models and learning how to draw to get your point across in teaching and in business. And 3 things we noted last time. We said, and this number came up, 90%, all right? 90% of all data in the world was created within the last 2 years. That's a huge jump, okay? From very little data to 90% of data in the world was created in the last 2 years. Number 2, 90% of all data on the internet is visual. So if you're the person who's like, well, you want to write 5,000 paragraphs on the internet, you're going to lose your audience. All right. So that's why we're doing this for some of you all. Okay. 90% of all data on the internet is visual. And number 3, 90% of business people have no idea how to either make visuals or use them. So that's a problem. All right. So we're just doing some basics today. We're talking about how to start drawing without needing to draw. There are many easy ways to start drawing without becoming self-conscious about it. All right. The first thing you can do is start with a chart. For most business people, making a chart isn't intimidating. You can open your spreadsheet, you can pick a chart template and select your data. Presto, a chart appears and you're being visual, right? Doesn't have to be a difficult chart. There's all kinds of charts, right? You've got you've got your chart that goes to scale for whatever you're doing. You've got your bar graph. All right. And if you use a program like Microsoft Word or the spreadsheets, some of them actually convert your data for you. They just have an icon that you go to and you press whatever icon you want to turn it into a visual chart, and it does it for you. So, I mean, that's just a matter of learning how to use your program, your computer programs, okay? So that's one way. Here's another way. You can sketch a sequence. Business people are usually pretty good at process, and processes are often easy to draw. Writing down the steps and then putting them in sequence and drawing arrows and connecting them. And now you got a picture of what needs to happen in what order. So that's simple. And you can use arrows to do it. All right. So it doesn't have to be something difficult when you're trying to show a process. I just used a simple arrow and I numbered it, and maybe you can come underneath each number and write specific parts of your process, and then your goal is to complete it. Anything that helps people to understand your vision, you want to make it visual. All right. And again, like the writer says, if you're self-conscious, just think about using your basic shapes to get your point across. You don't have to be so detailed with it. Here's another one. It's called Cave the Arc. A powerful visual exercise is finding the through line that connects many different ideas. Collecting a bunch of random but related thoughts, such as using sticky notes or post-it notes for this, and sticking them up on the wall. Looking for common categories and rearranging them into clumps of similar types. Rearrange the complete clumps into a linear sequence from beginning to end and draw a single line through the clumps. That line will provide a visual guide for any further discussion. So, for example, if we were talking about the life of Jesus, right? We might have a sticky tab up here that says something about his birth. We might have something up here that talks about his baptism. We might have something that talks about wilderness, his wilderness journey. Then we might have another sticky tab here that talks about healings that occurred. Then we might have another sticky tab here that talks about the final week of his life. Then we might have another sticky tab over here that talks about the crucifixion. And then I might have one down here that talks about the resurrection. Okay? And so I might take my one that talks about the resurrection and I might slap it over here. And then I would be able to create an arc or a sequence of events. All right? So in other words, you're still trying to make, even if you use sticky tabs, like they're saying, you can organize it in such a way that you put things in order and that you can show an arc of events happening. Again, this is another what they call a visual device to help people see a bigger picture. All right, so if things were all out of order, I would put them in an order so that I could create an arc with it. All right, again, like you said, if you're not a person that knows how to draw, these are some other devices that you could use. Capture the emoticon. Emoticons are visual, easy, and powerful, and increasingly accepted as valid communication tools. We know that now. A lot of times, just like Lady Lakia has used on Facebook Live, she used the emoticon of the crying, laughing man, right? Everybody's seen him. He's got the little smile, and he's got the little squinty eyes, and he's just crying and laughing his head off at me, right? So capturing the emoticon. A lot of people are now using emoticons in order to talk, right? Rather than put out a long paragraph, they might just use the emoticons or the symbols. And now we're getting into, on Facebook, a lot of people are using GIFs, right? GIFs. So some people are just now figuring out that Facebook offers the opportunity for you to use the GIFs. Okay, and there's a couple of ways you can get onto Facebook and use them. You can either use it to express your own post, or you can use the GIFs to respond to somebody else's post. Okay, Lakia says gifts are sent from God. Yeah. All right. So it's just a quick way to express back to someone that you either understood what they're saying, or that you're in agreement with what they're saying, or that you're not in agreement with what they're saying. So again, he's talking about here, so rather than drawing anything for your next meeting, you can simply turn on your smartphone, select an emoticon library, send yourself a message, and then take a screenshot and embed the emoticon in your presentation, and you can actually tell a purely visual story just by your emoticons. So most people know how to screenshot on their phones. Believe it or not, I just figured out how to screenshot on mine a couple of months ago, and I've had my phone for 2 years. Shame, shame. All right. So that's another way he's saying that you can make a presentation visual. If you don't know how to draw, just choose an emoticon, screenshot it, okay? Make it a file, a digital file, and then insert it into whatever kind of presentation that you're trying to do. All right? Gonna keep going because we're almost done. Drawing is thinking. We're always looking, but we never really see. When you draw an object, the mind becomes deeply, intensely attentive. Milton Glasser. Stop thinking about drawing as an artistic process. Drawing is also a thinking process. If you want to think more clearly about an idea, begin to draw it. If you want to be a more effective leader, think about how you might draw your vision so that other people see it as clearly as you do. If you want to innovate, think about how drawing might help you look at visual things in unusual ways. If you want to sell more, think about how pictures will make your offerings and ideas more compelling than those that aren't visual. The conversation today is visual. Draw like your world depends on it. So here's some things to think about as we finish up. First, our world is increasingly about data, and data is increasingly becoming visual. This is not a fluke, okay? To stay relevant and connected to people and your audience, you must embrace your visual capability. You must embrace the visual capability of other people. 2, drawing is our oldest technology, and now it has come back with a vengeance. Remember, we talked about how the earliest kinds of writing were cave drawings, and now we're simply back at the beginning with better technology. Number 3, drawing isn't just an artistic process, drawing is a thinking process. And number 4, there are many ways to re-engage your visual mind. that don't require any drawing at all. Okay? Today's conversation is visual. To join that conversation, you need to become more visual too. All right? So, next week, we're going to look at whoever draws the best picture wins. And we know that to be true because we just saw someone win an election because they drew the best picture. I'm going to let y'all figure that out. Figure out who that was. He drew the best picture. It wasn't that he was the greatest communicator. We know that. But he drew the best picture. He actually got people that he wanted to vote for him to see his vision of America. And that's why he won. Because whoever draws the best picture wins. That's a whole sermon all by itself. All right, trivia. And then we are ending for today, believe it or not. OMG. All right. So let me give you the answers because all of our other questions have been answered. And so those gifts will go out next week. Let me give you the answers to the questions from earlier this week. Question number 1. What music originated in the Bronx, created by DJs, and is now a registered religion? The answer was hip hop. Question number 2. What former professional athlete led an anti-Vietnam War sentiment and used his fame to fight racial injustice? The answer was Muhammad Ali. Question number 3. What dancer and choreographer founded his own dance company in 1958? The answer was Alvin Ailey and his American Dance Theater. Question number 4. What president introduced the Voting Rights Act of 1965? And the answer was Lyndon B. Johnson. Question number 5 and question number 6 today. Question number 5, all right, is this lovely gift set. You get a nice magnetic board like the one I'm using. Very convenient. You also get a pack of Suki iron-on decals for t-shirts, book bags, sweaters, hats. It's a whole book of iron-ons. All right. And you also get this lovely gold-laced notepad. And it says on the front, Inspire. All right. So that is for question number 5. I'm getting ready to tell you what the question is. If you want to participate, you have to email your answer at reachshantae, SHANTAE, reachshantae @gmail.com. Is everybody ready? Put some hearts on the screen if you are ready to hear the question. All right. Question for today, number 5. What female African-American journalist led the crusade against lynching and was a founding member of the NAACP? What female African-American journalist led the crusade against lynching and was a founding member of the NAACP? That's question number 5 for this lovely gift set. All right, we're moving along. Question number 6 is for what I call my fall relaxation pack. We've got some nice, lovely footies here. And we've got a copy of my music for download. And we've got some hot chocolate from Organo Gold. So you can have a nice relaxing time with some hot chocolate, some footies, and some music. All right. So here is our question number 6. Okay. For question number 6, the answer is 3 words. Okay. What was this called? And remember, you're going to email your answer at reachshantae@gmail.com. First person to answer gets the gift. This was the mass exodus of African Americans from the South to the northern, midwestern, and western cities between 1910 and 1970 to escape the Jim Crow laws. An estimated 6 million African Americans moved from Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi to establish large communities in Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, and elsewhere. What was this called? All right. And it has 3 words. So you have to give me all 3 words when you email. All right. Any other things today? Nope. That's it. Thank you all so much for participating in Daring Dialogues today. I'm your host, Shantae Charles. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So please go out and be light today. This weekend, many people are going to be probably reaching out to you. They may need prayer. They may need comfort. Make sure that you are the light and the hope today. All right? Point them back to Christ, but be that beacon of encouragement on today. All right? Have a great and wonderful weekend. Take care, everyone, and God bless.